Welcome to the Grace Fellowship Podcast. We are so excited that you're here listening with us. We hope that today's episode will inspire and equip you to know and follow Jesus.
Good morning, Grace family. Welcome to the Grace Fellowship Podcast, as we are going to spend some time this morning talking about the message from yesterday, the power of connection.
That's right.
It's going to be a good morning. But before we even do that, okay, flag football.
Yes. Well, and that's what I was going to say. This is Rocky. He's
sorry.
Yeah. And he's executive pastor of family ministries here at Grace and Reach. So you're over flag football.
Yes.
You were out there all day, which is
reffing.
probably part of the incredible Barry Manilow voice we're getting right now. So
Yes, very deep. Allergies
Yes.
are kicking in pretty good.
yes,
So
it was fun
indeed.
Saturday for Grace G Sports. How many do we have playing this year?
148, 150 right there.
It's a lot of fun, man.
It was a lot of fun. But you said something in the message about a prayer, but I got a better story for you. Not really a better story.
Okay, you had another one. Go for it.
did.
Yeah.
Because I was checking and I was reffing 8U.
Okay.
And there was a coach, he's getting his team lined up, and they don't even know what positions they're in.
Right.
At this point. Two practices, they still don't even know what a football looks like.
That's why we don't do 6U.
Yeah,
we
true,
don't do
true.
6U because we do
was bad
8U.
enough. 8U was
It's
bad
tough
enough. Yeah,
yes.
it was rough. And the coach is trying to explain to him what their positions are and everything. One kid looked at him and goes, "Coach, I play Madden. I know what I'm doing." I'm like, dude, that's the culture we live in, you know?
Yeah.
So it's crazy. It was
Yeah.
crazy. But anyway, so your game, you went 1-1.
1-1, both great games. Both were close games, very competitive.
We
games.
had some
And
intense games this weekend. We had one game went into overtime.
Really,
Yeah.
I love that.
It's
I love
pretty
that about
crazy.
our league. It does the best it can to level the teams, making it fun for all the kids. I think most of my kids actually caught a pass at some point in the game, and which is always a goal for me. And so, because some of you may not know this, that sounds like it's a low bar. Some of the kids have never played the game before,
Yeah.
and so really the goal is to help them all grow together, and so it was a lot of fun.
There actually, there was some teams that they weren't even able to hike the ball yet. I mean, that's how bad it was on AU.
Yeah.
I mean, there's kids are seeing the football for the very first time.
Yeah.
Which was crazy, which was cool because you could see the excitement and they're enjoying it so
Rocky,
much.
my second year doing this, the coaching, our AU team, we couldn't hardly hike the ball. Yeah, it was
That was a win.
that was getting the ball to the quarterback and that was when if it hit the ground in AU, you didn't get another try.
Now we show a little bit more grace.
We'd go three downs, just dropping the ball in the
No,
snap. It
we
was
don't do
terrible.
that right now with 8U.
Anyway,
We give them a little bit of grace
that's
on
good.
that. So
That's good.
Dodgeball. You talked
Yes.
about dodgeball.
Yeah.
Now let me tell you a little bit about dodgeball for us. I didn't play it in school.
Okay.
We played it at church.
All right.
In the church gym, and we didn't even use the rubber kickball.
What did
playground
y'all
balls.
use?
We used volleyballs.
Oh my gosh,
Yes.
dude! Those you could hum those.
Yeah, and you could get hurt by them, and so
sure.
I just hid in the back. That's basically what I did. So how were you at dodgeball?
I was terrible at dodgeball. If I in my mind, I wanted to be great, and I could throw the ball
That's
pretty
you and
hard.
everything. You just
I
want
know,
to be the best
I
at
know,
everything.
it was horrible. I know where my boys get it. I wanted to be the best. I could throw the ball really hard. I was a pitcher when I played baseball, but the problem was that I was like we didn't play tackle football in public school in Nacogdoches till we got to middle school, and it wasn't till 8th grade. So 7th grade, I still had to be in PE. And when I got to 8th grade, I was a true offensive lineman. All right. So I would say my agility was lacking.
That's a nice way to say it.
Yes. And so, man, I had the best of intentions. People wanted me on their team because I could throw the ball hard. But
But you were out pretty
I
quick.
was out so early. It just
You had
didn't
two good throws in you.
Yeah, I was like,
Gotcha.
man, it didn't take much because I would be super aggressive too. I mean, I was the kid who would like run to the front line to throw the ball, and then they're just like, "Oh, this is easy," and they just a little soft toss it at me. I can't get it out of it.
Not me, man. I
That's terrible.
stayed in
but
the back.
those dodgeballs, man, back then you could take the legs out from under kids.
Fun.
Yeah, it was fun.
Pretty
yeah.
cool.
Yeah,
Pretty
turn
fun.
them upside down.
So anyway, dodgeball. So tell
was a
me
lot of fun.
if you just keeping on with dodgeball. Y'all had the dodgeball tournaments at
Yes,
where when
yeah.
you were a student pastor.
Yeah.
So tell me some of the best hits. Do we have any bloody noses
Oh
or
man,
anything?
we did. We actually did have bloody noses. Even then, man, some of those kids. Now, once again, the weight of the balls have changed. They now use those little foamy
fluffy
balls.
things.
I forgot what they even call them. But
They're almost like Nerf
they are.
balls.
And actually, you have to, if you throw them really hard and has any kind of spin, they take off on you. And so, what was really typically what would happen that was really funny is when people would not be paying attention to the game. Like they're not in the game. They're just watching behind the court or walking on the side of the court, and someone takes a shot and they're not paying attention. It's just like, boom. I mean, that was the best shot. It was the no look when you didn't see it coming, and just the reaction was great. But pretty much in the game, you couldn't knock anybody over anymore. I mean, took a few to the face.
Takes the fun out of the game. Dude.
I know, man.
It's like not being able to play Red Rover.
And that's
anymore.
why there's soft students today. I'm just kidding.
That's pitiful.
Anyway.
Crazy. All right. Well, fun times. Fun times.
Yeah. But it always did happen back then is that you found yourself. Yeah. I mean, it always happens. Like you would have this one team that was overloaded, one team that was just there for the style points, and they came with their printed T-shirts. And
they looked good.
They
looked good,
and they may have even won the theme. But that was
another competition.
And in their mind, we let them. There's a winner for the theme.
Oh,
yeah, and so they would come. It just helped us get people who weren't dodgeball people to play in it. And I think for them, like it seemed like they were like, here, we just go ahead and hit. We won't even run. Just hit us. We want to get out.
Just go ahead.
And they come down just to
we'll eat some pizza.
One against everyone else, and so get taken out pretty quick. And you know, Rocky, you and I have seen that happen in student ministry and ministry in general a lot, is that really one of the most dangerous places for a person to be is isolated in their faith. Mm-hmm. It's probably one of the things that hurts my heart the most when I see someone who's been connected, been active, but then slowly they stop being connected, they stop being active, and they may tell you, yeah, I'm still good in my faith and I'm still whatever, but you and I both know they're putting themselves in a place to be attacked without any help, without anybody around them. And, you know, I think it's easy. It's easy for us all to do. It's a little more difficult for us when you work at a church, but I think that it's still possible. And I think you see it with pastors who can preach every weekend, but yet they're so isolated because they have no friends around them.
Yeah. I'll honestly, for me, and you and I are very different. Because you are extremely extrovert. I mean, you never meet a stranger.
Rocky, like Saturday when everybody was out there, like I had a hard time focusing once people started showing up because I was like,
you wanted to go have conversations.
Look at all these people. I haven't seen them in a while. or look at all these people who are my new potential best friends.
Yes.
Yes.
You thrive on that.
I do. And I get it.
And it's crazy. And I'm not going to say I'm the opposite, because it's not like I don't like to be around. I don't like to be around people. I like people.
Yeah.
But what to recharge.
Yeah.
I like to be kind of by myself.
Right.
And if you're not careful with that isolation thing, being away from people, because you say you want to recharge, you can drift so far away that you're never around people anymore.
Right.
And then you run into where you're really susceptible to the attacks of the enemy. Yeah. Because you're recharging even though you really are just isolating.
Yeah. Yeah, and it happens in a church a lot, and that's why part of looking at this early church was, and honestly, the larger it gets, the easier it is for someone to
drift and be isolated. Yeah,
to hide.
Anonymity is there.
Yes, there's a level of anonymity for sure, and I think that's what I love about that passage in Acts, talking about the early church. It says all of them devoted themselves, and I shared some deep biblical knowledge and Greek knowledge that all in the New Testament
means all.
Yeah, and so
you're so smart, man.
I'm telling you, dude. I dug into the original language and just want to make sure that I helped.
I'm glad you started focusing on that third semester of Greek and really.
So, but the point though is that I think sometimes we can easily go to church and think that means everyone else, right? And not understand that, man, if we want to see God move the way he did in the early church or operate the way that God intended the church to operate, it's not there's some committed and some less committed and some who just show up. And we're in a season of life right now where it's saying, man, if we really want to see God move, if we in our lives and the lives of others, look, we will get up in arms and go all out when it comes to an election, believing that this election is going to change the world, and it never does.
Yeah.
But God's already given us the way that in a demonstration, an example of as followers of Jesus, something that could actually change the world and change our lives and change the hearts in our communities and our government. But it's easier just to do the political thing sometimes because it's something we're able to speak into rather than have to be into.
You talked about several different things that for us right now in our culture, we look at relationships differently.
Yeah.
And you use some things. This is, by the way, I didn't like your message. I liked your message, but there's some things that I felt like you were being a little mean on. Okay. And this is one of those areas you talked about how now we've been raised to be more independent.
Yeah.
Okay. Which I can understand. There's a little bit of, there's a lot of truth there.
Yeah.
There's some benefit to it, but we've kind of taken to the extreme.
Right.
And you talked about the competitiveness, currency.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the other one was comparing.
Yeah.
And some of those really, dude, it really hit hard.
Yeah.
For me. So when you talk about, for me, the comparing one was the biggest one.
Yeah.
I'm constantly comparing myself to other people.
Mm-hmm.
So when you see those competition, currency, comparing, what do you see the most in our culture today? Which one do you struggle with?
Yeah, that's good. I think so. I struggle with all of them, Rocky.
Like, well, I do too.
When I look at my life, like that's
there's
the
two
thing
that are very tough on me right here.
What I like to tell people is that when I get up there to preach, I'm not telling you like what God wants you to. I'm telling you what God already dealt with me on. Yeah, this is just confession at this point.
You've already gone through it.
Yeah. So for me, it's like I'm competitive. Shocker.
Yeah.
Right? I'm a competitive person, and I've always been. But some of that comes from the fact that part of my struggle with my own identity, the way the enemy has attacked me, is telling me I don't measure up, that you're overlooked, and undervalued. And so the only way for you to do anything significant or prove yourself is you have to achieve. You have to succeed. And to do that, you've got to beat everyone else. So it turns it into
anything.
Yeah. So when it comes to achievement, one of the things that I discovered is that no matter what I achieved, no matter how high I climbed, there was always someone who's achieved more. There's always someone who's done more. And so it became this never-ending battle and this never-ending fight, but I was in this constant state of comparison. And so when I'm comparing myself to someone else, it's hard for me to be friends with them because I'm constantly trying to figure out how to beat them.
Yeah.
And that's tough.
Yeah.
I mean, I think back to my high school rivalry. It was Lufkin. All right, they're right down the road, and we had no chance because they had far better athletes than we did. But I had friends from Lufkin, in Lufkin, but I had a hard time really being great friends with them
because you just wanted to beat them all.
Because I was always mad that they were winning and we weren't. Yeah. Right, I wanted to beat them all the time, and so as long as I was constantly comparing, competing, that created a struggle for a real relationship. Well, we do that in life. Yeah. We do that. Listen, that's why a lot of times churches struggle to get along because they lose sight that we're on the same team and we start competing. Man, I want our church to lead the way and say we're not trying to compete with any other church. And so that's that comparison, that's that competing. The currency thing is dangerous.
This one's hard for me.
Yeah, it's dangerous because what happens is you because of you're comparing, because you're competing, you're going, man, I need help to win. Mm-hmm. And so now people who've come alongside to help win, no longer am I there to help them win as a leader. They're here to help me win. And that just means I've made them currency in my battle to win, to overcome and cheat. So here's what happens. I break my relationship with them and I break my relationship with the other people. I'm not good relationally because it's all become really about me. Mm-hmm. About me succeeding. Why? And honestly, it comes down to an identity issue. And this is one of the things God began to help me see. Honestly, my big journey to really discover who God made me to be started at 35 years old. And I'm jogging down the road one day, listening to a sermon. And without going into all that, it was just God saying, hey, I can't bless who you pretend to be, because in me, I was looking at everyone else and finding the most successful people and trying to be them
like
because that's how they were successful. And I felt like I said, I can't bless who you pretend to be, but I've got a blessing for you too.
Yeah.
If you'll learn to discover who I made you to be. And so for that, when I began to lean into who God made me to be, now all of a sudden I don't see people as competition. That's when God begins to help me see people who God created them to be.
And helping them understand
yes.
makes you a winner.
Well, and it builds relationship. Because Rocky, like if I see you as someone who's here to just do a job, I mean, there's no relationship in that. But I see you as someone God has put a purpose and a dream inside of. And I say, man, I'm so excited Rocky's here because I can see like what God can do in Rocky and through Rocky. And man, I want to see him succeed because, wow, look at the impact Rocky'd have. Well, now all of a sudden, there's no competition.
Yeah.
It's not about currency. It's about saying, man, we're on this together to build the kingdom. And look at the peace that God has given our church to affect this area with this, personality type. So for me, like all of those areas have been tough because we are a world that is, and once again, an identity issue. And I think a lot of people have that. But also coming down to all I want to do is win, 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 no matter what. So
I know that for me, currency is the huge part. He made that little innuendo there, and but
little
anyway.
Song reference.
Yeah.
You're welcome. It's hard for me.
I know.
Yeah.
I know it's hard.
Yeah.
Currency is for me because I'm so task oriented.
Oh yeah,
and if I'm not careful, I get my identity from my accomplishments of task.
Right.
So if I go home in the afternoon and I don't have enough things checked off my box, that day was a failure.
Yeah.
And so I look at people and look at relationships. Okay, how are they going to help me check things off my box? And when you do that, going back to what you said, my relationships are all about what can you do for me?
That's
And I have to actually, if I'm not careful, and I've had some help here recently in this area, I've got to slow down.
Yeah.
And I've got to have conversations. I've got to talk to people. Not just about giving them instructions on what they need to do, but really engage in that relationship. And so I felt like you were talking to me yesterday, just in this first part, but I don't think we had enough time talking about that because I really feel like our culture, every bit of this is, and the comparing part is crazy because we have so many ways to compare ourselves to other people now.
Right.
And if we're the uniqueness of our abilities and gifts, God's given to us.
Yeah.
And if we're operating in those gifts, if I'm trying to be an extrovert like you, I'm gonna drive myself into the ground.
Right.
And the same's true. If you try to be me, you're never going to find joy and peace.
No.
And so it's kind of crazy because we live in this world that just constantly drives us around. And in the process, we miss out on relationships.
Well, and on top of that, social media, it is so easy to compare yourself and find yourself losing at all
Constantly.
times. Because, and honestly, that impacts the things we buy, the places we go. Like, I think with the way that social media is now, you see what everyone else has, you see what everyone else does, and so you're constantly going, all right, I need to be able to do at least that, if not more. And if not, I feel like I'm losing, right? And so it drives you once again, or I don't measure up, and so it creates an inferiority complex where now I struggle to connect with other people because they're better than me, right? Or they're ahead of me. And honestly, I think that happens even spiritually, is that people struggle to connect because they think someone is further down the road in their faith than they are. And so they're like, well, I'm not like them. I'm not as, once again, comparison, I think it kills relationships, period.
Social media, when you're talking about that, I think when later on the message, you were talking about the early church.
Yeah.
And they devoted themselves, and we'll circle back around and talk about all this, but just fellowship.
Yeah.
I feel like for me and a lot of people that I know when I talk to them, there's almost like a false fellowship because of social media. Like they feel like they have these relationships with people. It's kind of interesting because you can actually talk to people and they talk about these people on social media they really don't know.
Yeah. They know a lot about them.
Yeah. And they call them by the first name, like there's a connection there, and they don't know them.
Yeah.
But it's almost like in fact, I'm trying to remember the book I read recently that talks about a fantasy, that you live in a fantasy world.
Yeah.
And those relationships aren't real.
Yeah.
And in their social media presents that, where you've like this false fellowship, false hope of, I've got this relationship, but you really don't.
Yeah, you don't actually. They're not answering your phone call.
No,
you may not even have their phone number. No. They're not going to reply to your direct message.
And when you talked about some verses in Proverbs, they're not gonna come up and say, "Hey, how are you doing spiritually?"
Yeah,
they don't even know you exist.
Yeah. So I want to ask this. So the one of the areas I wanted to really dig into, but just didn't have time, is the concept of being devoted. Have you ever been? Is there something you look back to in your life that you go, man, the way I treated this, the way I did this, I was devoted. That's a picture of being devoted to something, or what did it look like to be devoted to it?
Years ago, 1988, 87, 88.
Yeah,
it was track.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What did that kind of devotion look like for you?
Dude, it impacted the way I ate, the way I slept, the way I practiced. I mean, it impacted everything. I was devoted to, there was a goal.
Right.
And everything that I did was for that goal.
Yeah.
And I was committed to it.
Yeah.
And so it was basically ate, slept, drank, track.
Yeah.
And there was a devotion there to accomplish a goal.
Yeah. How did it affect the goal? Because you're devoted to it.
Yeah. Well, short term, it affected great. But then when I got to college and ran, it didn't. I wasn't quite as devoted as I used to be. There was other things taking away my devotion.
But you got a little distracted.
Yeah, a little distracted.
But at the same time,
with school, with academics,
I'm sure you delve deep into that.
Deep
yes,
into
I understand
academics.
that. You're such an academic.
Mm-hmm.
I would say this. You say it helped a little, but you went to college on a track scholarship. Yeah. That's a pretty big deal. Yeah. That's not like that's a high percentage of people. So the devotion actually did make a pretty big impact. And people may not know this, but Rocky Johnson held the state record in Louisiana for years, for decades.
That was decades. That was many pounds ago, buddy. many pounds and many years.
You pounded much asphalt to make to achieve that. So there you go.
And that kid here locally that's running a 142 800.
Yes,
he would have lapped me basically almost. So,
whatever.
Yeah.
Well, I just think about that idea of devotion because it changed the way, every aspect of your life, the way you thought about life, and I think if we really were devoted to following Christ, to our faith. And that's, man, just that concept, they were all devoted themselves to these things, right? And I look at the faith here in America of the American church, in this idea of being devoted to these things is really pretty foreign.
Yeah.
Not like the early church was.
Yeah, I think there's so many, and that's kind of, for me, I was wrestling with that. All the different things that fight for that devotion.
Yeah.
In our culture, in my life. And from, and I say, I think we segment everything. Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah. And so my spiritual life is over here, and then my other life, I got my being married over here, and I got, my fun life over here, my entertainment life, and there's different things all spread all over the place. So I got so many things fighting for my devotion.
Right.
And with that, I can't help but think that because I have so many things I'm fighting for my devotion, I'm really not devoted to anything.
Right.
Including my spiritual life.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's tough.
My devotion's divided.
So, yeah. And so it really comes down to, I think sometimes what the enemy wants us to do is just to try to spread our interest, just get us interested. And I think some of it is that we get so devoted to just our own instant pleasure. Like, what do I want to do right now? What do I desire? So we just are pleasure seekers of the moment, and so it might be a dopamine hit of scrolling. It might be, watching something or whatever. So we're just chasing that internal satisfaction of the moment, which in reality, they're just showing all that as what's partly causing the rise in anxiety and rise in depression and rise in whatever is because we're overloaded with these things that we weren't actually created to chase these things. Our true satisfaction and joy and peace and all those things are found in the only thing that we're struggling to be devoted to, and that's our faith.
Is the one thing that can bring that
yes,
to us.
Yes, is the one thing. And so they devoted themselves, and that question of what would it look like if we were devoted? Like I was. Would people say that? Can I say that about me? Some people may not know me. Some people know me as Pastor Chris, and they go, "Absolutely, Pastor Chris is devoted to those things." But would I say that about me? Mm-hmm. I know me better than anyone else. Would I say that I'm devoted to biblical truth, to His Scripture? Would I say that I'm devoted to fellowship, or is it surface relationships? Mm-hmm. Right? So I can check that box, but do people really know me? And here's what I had a great mentor say to me is that not everyone gets to know you deeply, but some people need to. Mm-hmm. And I need those people in my life who know me deeply. I scratched this from a message yesterday, and we can come back to biblical truth if you have something there, but I'm going to go lean into fellowship. I scratched this from a message because I was wanting to shoehorn this in. And I realized that, is that there's a difference between being transparent and being vulnerable. I heard someone explain it this way, is that being transparent, it's like and maybe I've said this before on the podcast, but I really like it. I'll say it again. It's like someone who has their armor and their shield up, and to be transparent is they move the shield so that you can see the armor, mm-hmm. right? And so you can see what's behind the shield. But to be vulnerable is for me to give you my armor and my weapons and my shield and trust you not to hurt me with it. And mm-hmm. I need the kind of people in my life that I can be vulnerable with, that I can trust them with my junk, with my story, with my struggles, with my failures, and trust that they won't hurt me with it.
Yeah. Use it against you.
Yeah. And so I see that when I see the early church, and really they were to be devoted to fellowship, to those kind of relationships. It's building the kind of relationships with other people who can speak into your life. Mm-hmm. That whole, an open rebuke is better than hidden love. Yeah. Right? That wounds from a sincere friend. Now, let's be honest. It's not fun when someone speaks into your life.
No.
Now, the other part of that, though, is that I think some people want to speak into someone's life without knowing their story, mm-hmm. without taking the time to actually invest in their story and know them deeply and personally. Because I've responded different ways. And for some, I've struggled at times to receive it because I'm like, you don't know me.
Yeah, who are you?
You don't know my story. You haven't taken time to get to know like my background, how I grew up, my struggle with even my identity. But then there's other people. They've invested in me. They've invested in my family. And man, when they speak into my life, like I'm learning to lean in and lean in greatly and go, you know what? You might be right. Let me process that.
Mm-hmm. There's so much right there that just opening up. So when I think about, even when I was wrestling with the fellowship part, I started thinking about who's in my life.
Yeah.
Okay. As a pastor, that's hard.
It is hard. It's very difficult.
And who's in my life? And I feel like our executive team, you, me, and Mark, there's. I'm not going to say all the time vulnerability. Right. I keep my shield up a lot with you guys. And I'm not sure why, but anyway, I do that. But who have I given? There's people in my life that I feel like have permission to do that.
Yeah.
But they may not even know that they have permission to do that.
Yeah.
That I haven't actually given them permission to say, hey, I need you mm-hmm. to challenge me. And when you see things going on in my life that need to be discussed or brought to the forefront, and they may not even know that they have that right to do that yet because I haven't verbalized that and said, hey, I need you to do this.
Yeah.
So how do we do that? How do we get to that place?
That's hard, but it's difficult to figure out because I think sometimes it's hard to know what questions to ask. It's hard to know when have we entered into that zone as friends mm-hmm. that we can get there. And I think part of it's just time. It takes time. I think of all the, football games that have started, right? And there's teams with new players on them, and their offense isn't hitting on all cylinders yet. Why? Because they haven't had enough time together.
Yeah.
To be able to know how
chemistry's
the other team's not
been
there
developed yet.
They don't know, how the other player plays, and hadn't learned their tendencies and how to help them and how to work with them. I think part of it's spending time, and this is where we also struggle, is that we don't spend as much time together as we once did. Used to, I still remember as a kid, we had people over at the house all the time.
Yeah.
We didn't have to have our house looking like Southern living for someone to come over and eat dinner with us. Like, we've got to stop thinking that way and start going, hey, invite people in. Just invite people in. And it might be not for a fancy dinner. Come on over and we're going to have, casserole. I don't know how this weekend, but it doesn't have to be fancy. It just let them come over and let them eat dinner with you.
It was not abnormal for us just to be sitting there and somebody knocks at the door.
Yeah.
And comes in. Now people don't do that.
Well, and when I lived in the same neighborhood as you and Christy would do that with us, and we'd do that every now and then with y'all. Y'all did it with us a little bit more because we had the kids, and it was hard for us to
a little bit more to.
But we love that.
Yeah.
And I think that's something that, because we got to build those kind of relationships. But I think the other part is learning to ask good questions. And I sometimes wonder if we need to take a minute and say, hey, if someone were trying to interrogate me and what's going on in my life, what question would they ask me? Mm-hmm. Now, I want to give someone permission to ask that question of me, because I need someone examining me. Mm-hmm. I need someone helping me with this. And because I don't know what questions, I don't know what's going on spiritually. And so I really need you to say, hey, man, here's what's going on. And so here's a question I need you to start asking me for a little while. Mm-hmm. And give them permission that way. It's an easy way to give permission. Tell them what to ask you.
Yeah. You talked about questions, even just the simplicity of getting to know someone you're sitting next to in church.
Yeah.
The simple question of how long you been coming to Grace? But I think one of the things when you talk about asking questions, we don't always know what's going on in the other person's life.
No.
And yes, questions, you can get to some of the bottom of that. But I think too, allowing the Holy Spirit to lead you in that asking questions.
Yeah, that's good.
Because He knows what's going on in that other person's life. And if we stay connected to the Holy Spirit, He can direct our focus a little bit on ask this person this question.
Yeah.
Which I don't do that a lot. I mean, I'm when I'm going in a conversation, I'm usually thinking about what I need to say next and not listening to listen to what they're saying.
Yeah, we all do.
And that allows you to say, okay, God knows what's going on.
Yeah. Yeah.
How can I step into that?
Yeah. That whole passage later on about, I use it under be humble, but it's it's from, was it Philippians? Yeah, 2:3. Don't be selfish. Don't try to impress others. You know why we struggle with even questions? Because we're constantly trying to impress others. We're going, I want to be able to talk to you in such a way that you'll accept me. Mm-hmm. That you'll receive me. He says, be humble, think of others as better than yourselves. And then he says, don't look out only for your own interest. Don't make it all about you, but take an interest in others too. Look, I think that second part, that last part of that, take an interest in others too, that's why we struggle with relationships. Because we're not saying, hey, tell me more about you. Tell me about your family. Hey, what's your biggest challenge right now? What's your biggest success right now? What's going on? Like we've got to become better at asking questions, taking an interest in other people, because we want people, instead of being interested in others, we just hope to be interesting, and it's like, man, we've got to figure out how can I take an interest in you, in your best, in God's best for your life. And so some of that is listening to the Holy Spirit and saying, Holy Spirit, how do you want to use me to encourage them, to help them, to walk with them? But it still comes down to that choice of putting the right people on the court. Yeah. Like, bring your crew. Get a crew with you. You and I both know student ministry years, it matters so much. And I don't know why we think we graduate from that in life. We're like, well, it matters when you're a teenager to have the right friends around you.
The same parents that are telling their kids, hey, you need to be surrounding yourself with good influencers. and not putting bad stuff in. They're the ones out there listening and engaging in relationships that aren't benefiting them.
Yeah, but probably, maybe a question to ask yourself is, who's the most frequent or loudest voices that in your influence today? Like who are speaking, whether you see it as influence or not, what are the loudest voices or the most frequent voices speaking into your life right now? On social media, on the radio, nobody listens to the radio, on podcasts, or
I listen to the radio.
Okay. like what are the most frequent? Because you need people on the court. Because here's the great little picture I get. When you're playing dodgeball and you do play with the team, you've got the people that, like I like to call them the snipers, right? They'll kind of wait in the back, and then they'll sneak up one side, and they're waiting for the good player on the other team
to run up
and they're going to take them out from their blind side where no one can see it. We need teammates who are watching for our blind side. The thing that I found so often is people don't mean to ruin their life, don't mean to wreck their life, to wreck their faith, but they didn't see it coming because they were blinded to it. We need people in our lives who will go, hey, you need to pay attention to this. Hey, be aware of this. Be careful with this. Because we do have a real enemy. And it's not people. We have a spiritual enemy who may use people at times, but his desire is to take us out and to ruin our lives. And so we need the kind of people in our lives who are watching our six. They're watching for the takeout that we don't see coming.
Man, as you say that, I think about the relationships I have. I think about some key relationships. I have some good relationships with some guys that I've developed here.
Yeah.
And I just rewind in my head the conversations that we have. And a lot of times it's around a breakfast appointment or a lunch appointment or coffee or something like that. And so much of it, 90% of it is just sports and weather and family. I mean, it's just kind of, it's real it's that surface level stuff. And being intentional and asking the tough question, not you want to hammer anybody, but just, hey, how are you doing?
Yeah.
How are you really doing? How's your time with God right now? What is he teaching you? And you get out of that surface.
Yeah.
And I don't like to get down to the surface level, because when you get down to that surface level, it gets uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Because when you start asking the questions, giving them permission to ask the same questions. And that's not always easy to do.
No, it's not. Well, and if you think about it, those early followers, they're devoted to the teaching, they're devoted to fellowship, devoted to prayer. So what if when we got together in the fellowship, we were asking, hey, what's one thing that you felt like God said to you or pointed out in your life from Sunday's message? That you turn it to like just, and we went prepared with, hey, this is the one thing that I felt like, if you notice, one of the things I feel like God's put on my heart at the end of the message is, hey, I want you to ask God for one way to respond. Yeah. And will you do that? We just do what God tells you to do. And so I want us to begin leaning in personally in our devotion to his word and to his truth. Hey, God, what's one thing that you're teaching me? If we were all devoted to biblical truth, to walking in truth daily and letting it change our lives, like I would, like today, in my reading today in Hebrews 12, he talks about this great crowd of witnesses cheering us on. Let's strip away the things that hinder us and focus on for the joy awaits. For the joy that awaited Christ, he endured the cross, right? But then in verses 12 and 13, he talks about so take up a new grip with your tired hands and strengthen your weak knees and set out a path, right? I love that. That's something I was like, all right, God, as I get, ministry can be tiring, and Monday mornings, a lot of times of the day that you're like, whew. And I love that passage because it's like, hey, remember why you're doing it. Keep focused. So what does it look like for me today to take up a new grip with my tired hands? What does it look like to strengthen my weak knees? What's the path I need to walk in my purpose? And so, what if we started gathering with these people and we talk about football, talk about family, talk about sports, great. But also, what if we said, hey,
it can't stay there.
Yeah. What's the one thing that you feel like God's told you in Sunday's message? They talked about this. Here's what I felt like God said to me. Was there something that stuck out to you? And if we're surrounding ourselves and we're getting in life groups like this, this is what we should be talking about in life groups to some degree. But like we would begin intentionally forming these kind of relationships. And I think the other part of it, and you've kind of alluded to it, is it takes time. Rocky, I'm not going to meet you today and let you into my kitchen tomorrow. Yeah. Like it's very rare. And yet often people are so, and what I found is people are so hungry to do that. Like they'll meet, they'll let you into their kitchen because they're just going, I just need something, need help, need whatever. And if you don't reciprocate it right away, they feel like, I don't know, it was weird, it was awkward, it just didn't work. Well, okay, time out. Let's take our time. Let's build a relationship. Let's build a friendship. Let's learn how each other operates. Let's learn each other's backgrounds and history, and then let's walk through this together and learn how to fight each other's battles with each other. Because here's the other thing, Rocky. You don't know how I've been hurt, and the more we're hurt, the more that people have injured us in the past, that they've used our story, our struggles against us.
Well, that makes it hard to trust to open up.
Yeah.
When you've been hurt, or what you shared with someone's used against you.
Yeah.
And so it makes it even harder on the next relationship.
Yeah.
In that way, I think too. One thing you said just a second ago, people are so hungry to let it out.
Yeah.
Okay. They don't even know it yet, and sometimes you there's that crack in the dam, and the water just floods out when you open that door one time. And it almost can be detrimental to a relationship when you share too much too fast.
Yeah, because they're like, whoa.
Yeah, well, I'm not ready for this type of deal. And then there's the other extreme where they won't share anything at all.
Yeah.
So there's such a dynamic there, and that you got to be not that you got to be careful. You just got to be. It's a relationship.
Yeah.
It's just you take it as a relationship and open up about it. Now, I do want to circle back around. I don't know how much time we have, but the biblical truth. One of the things that you talked about yesterday was the renewing of your mind. You talked about Romans 12, and that's one of my favorite verses. Okay, and it says this: "Do not conform to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind."
Yes.
Then you will be able to test and approve what God's will is, His good, pleasing, and perfect will.
Yeah.
Renewing your mind.
Mm-hmm.
Renewing your mind. What do you do personally?
Yeah.
Okay. To constantly be renewing your mind.
Rocky, I'll say probably in this point in my life, I take it like there's some things that are just pattern, but then I also take it a little further than some might. And one is daily. I read Scripture and spend time writing down what God is showing me in Scripture. And from each passage, I look for at least one thing. I read 4 different passages. Do a reading through the Bible in a year plan. I've talked about it in church before. It's probably been a while, probably some new people since then. But I love it. Something I've been doing for years. And from each little passage that it gives me to read, I write down at least a couple things of what it is, just so that I'm not just reading to check a box, and I'm just, I want it to sink in.
Not just for information, but application.
Application. And so I'm looking for that as I read it. And then the other thing is I'm actually way more cautious and careful about what I allow into my mind. I have some guardrails up that it's like, I'm not going to watch certain things, not going to listen to certain things. Like when I make those illustrations and use those illustrations of, hey, there's some things that it's okay to say, no, that's probably not good for me. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of things that I say, yeah, that's not good for me. And actually there's some things I don't let my kids listen to or watch that all their friends watch. There's video games. There's games that I go, no, I've kind of looked into that. And I know as you begin to dig into it and you see what's going on, you can come to a place and go, well, it's just a game. Or you can look at it and go, well, the enemy uses just a game to get into our lives, or just a movie, or just a whatever, to get into our minds, into our thought process. Listen, the mind is the enemy's battlefield.
Yeah.
It's a battlefield. It's a battlefield. Hey, anyway, but it really is. It is a battlefield. And we know this, but yet so often we don't protect our mind. Like part of renewing your mind is protecting your mind. If you're putting good and bad in, how much bad it's that whole illustration I've heard before of, the mom who made brownies for her boys. Boys were so excited about it, gave it brownies and said, "Oh, do you like the new ingredient? What's the new ingredient?" Well, it was dog poop. And it was like, "Oh, but it's just a little bit. It's not that much, right?" Well, how much does it take to ruin it all, right? I think that we as believers, we don't understand this concept of renewing our minds. We don't realize that, the battle, the spiritual battle is so often won or lost up here before it even plays out in a physical arena.
Yeah.
And so understand this concept of renewing your mind. I'm probably very passionate about this, honestly, because of the way that my mind has destroyed me in the past. How I've allowed so much in that it absolutely wrecked me. And I was like, man, I got to probably take this more serious. Maybe I need to take it more serious than other people because I'm weak-minded. I don't know. I'll be willing to say that. But at the end of the day, my deal is that I know that I need to renew my mind if I'm going to be able to walk in the purpose that God's called me for.
Mm-hmm. So there's so much humility there when you start thinking that when you start thinking, no, I don't need to renew my mind. Or, you even said, I'm weak-minded, so I need to renew my mind. I don't think that's it. I think it's, I need, if I don't guard this, if I don't renew my mind, if I don't protect what's going in my mind, I've seen it. It's going to come back and mess up my thinking. It's going to mess up the way I see things, my perspective on life. And I'm still, at 55 years old, there's still things that took place in my middle school and high school years, even beyond that, earlier than that still at times rear their ugly head in my thought processes.
Yeah.
And I let it in.
Yeah.
Okay. Now one of the things that I'm a rabbit hole guy. I get in my head.
Yeah. Yep.
And sometimes the thoughts in my head are not the good thoughts.
Yeah.
I can start chasing down a negative route.
Right.
And one of the things that has made a tremendous difference in me, I read the book by Craig Groeschel, Winning the War in Your Mind.
Yeah.
Great book. It's a once a year book for me. I need to read it once a year.
Yeah.
But it talks about how that battle is constantly going on in our head. Always taking place in our head.
Yeah.
And one of the things that stood out to me in that book was it talks about declarations and memorizing scripture that deal with specific things that you battle. And I have a declaration that for the longest time I would quote when I woke up in the morning that would eliminate. Basically, it ended with "You are God and I'm not." Talking to God. Okay?
Yeah.
That's what it summed up was. You are God, I'm not. I don't have to be in control of everything. I don't have to.
Yeah.
And it just changed my perspective on life. But one of the things that he talks about in that book is instead of just listening to yourself, talk to yourself out loud.
Yeah.
Because I get in my head and I listen to my thoughts, and my thoughts always drift down the rabbit hole.
Yeah.
And I would have to verbally talk truth back to myself to renew my mind.
Yep. But you have to know the truth.
Yes.
And that's part of that, being devoted to the truth.
Yeah.
So
biblical teaching.
Because the enemy is speaking those lies, and he speaks in first person, making you believe it's your own thoughts. And once you accept it, man, he's going to have a heyday. And so you have to know the biblical truth. The only way to know it is to be devoted to it. And when you're devoted to it with other believers and to fellowship, now you can invite other people in. Hey, this is my struggle. Because I've had people go, hey, there's a passage that talks about this. Here's just something. Why don't you, it's other people helping offer biblical truth into my life and into my struggles because they know the struggles with me now.
Mm-hmm. I meet with a guy in our church right now. We're going through a book together. We meet every other Friday. And there's just something about sitting across from a table with one person or multiple people, multiple guys, and talking about what you read. Mm-hmm. It just when you do it by yourself, it's good. Yeah, it's really good. But when you process it in a group, it just something it grabs a hold. Yeah, it grabs a hold of. And I love that. Those conversations are always so good.
Well, and I think that probably just even comes back to this. There's a lot of people who are hungry to have others who know their story. They just are fearful to share their story with others. Mm-hmm. The truth is that fear comes from the enemy. because he doesn't want you to share a story, but he also doesn't want you to begin to dig into truth together. Here's why. Because when you start saying it out loud and you get other people in the journey with you, now all of a sudden you're set free from the fear of what if.
Yeah.
Right? Now you're actually you're experiencing, God's love, perfect love casts out all fear. When you begin to experience God's love through other people who are encouraging you, now you're not afraid. You're not afraid of failure. You're not afraid of, it helps you begin to walk in His truth because it removes the fear that the enemy wants to put there. So, yeah.
Let me hit one thing really quick. We're probably about to need to be wrapping up here in a second. Prayer.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll be honest with you. I feel like you're a prayer warrior. Okay.
Thanks.
You probably don't even see yourself as that way. But looking back, I came to Grace Fellowship. I followed you as a student pastor, 2006. Okay. After you left and you finished up seminary and went and worked at other churches, when we looked for a student pastor, when I changed roles, started looking for a student pastor, every time we did, you were our first call. Okay. And every time you would say, I'm going to pray about it. We'll pray about it. And you'd always come back and say, God's not leading me to do that right now. And I would get so frustrated with you because in my head, I'm going, Chris, stop praying about it and just come back. Just come back here. You don't have to be a prayer thing, okay? But you pray about everything constantly. I'm
grateful I have parents who do that still to this day. They pray for me. Honestly, I look at just my journey and my story, and I believe that God worked powerfully through my parents' prayers to keep me from going down very destructive paths in life. That they were intervening in the spiritual realm on my behalf, and I'm so grateful for them. But I think I also just got to see the power of prayer growing up, and my parents, there's so many things that I didn't understand as a kid, but they prayed about it, and this is what we decided, and I was like, okay, all right. So they taught me that at a young age. And sometimes when I pray about things, a lot of times I don't get the answer I want.
Yeah.
But that's also why prayer is not a fast food order. It's learning to align your heart with God's heart. And it doesn't always turn out the way I want, but pray about all things.
Yeah.
It's prayer and supplication, thanksgiving.
Talked about three things that you want us all to pray for as a church.
Yes.
And that you pray for.
Yes.
And the first one is that people would come to know Jesus.
That's right. It's great that our church is full. I want heaven to be full with our church.
Yeah. I loved that yesterday when you said that.
I had a friend in ministry. He's a pastor in Georgia now. He said, "Hey, let's make the narrow. Let's create traffic jams on the narrow road. We want to fill up the narrow road."
Yeah.
So I love that idea, that concept, and man, I guess I don't know. It's great. We can draw a crowd, Rocky.
Yeah.
We can draw a crowd, but what good is it if they're not coming to know Jesus? I want to see them come to know Jesus.
There are so many people in this community that don't know Jesus.
Yeah.
It blows my mind because I've been so consumed with Jesus for so long.
Yeah.
To think that there's people out there that don't even have a Bible or that's not even part of their DNA.
Right.
And then miraculous provision.
Yeah. Our God's a God of abundance. Look, God has grown this church. He's the one growing it. Hear me. I try to make sure it's very clear when I say that from stage. It is. We don't have a magic bullet other than we asked God to show up, and He did. Yeah. And we're continuing to ask God to show up, and He is, and He's moving. But I think a lot of times we get in the scarcity mindset of, well, what are we going to do? There's not enough. Who said that? God never said that. He owns a cattle on 1,000 hills. When He's ready for us to have the provision we need to do the ministry He calls to, He'll sell a few cows and send the proceeds. All right. I truly believe that His timing. Our struggle is it doesn't happen in our timing, and that's where we get frustrated. Mm-hmm. And that's where God has had to cool my jets, because I get frustrated because I'm like, God, where is it? Mm-hmm. You'll provide all our needs according to Your riches and glory. Where is it? You brought up the other day, the Lord is our shepherd. I have everything that I need.
I don't lack anything.
I don't lack anything. Okay, so we don't lack anything we need. Okay, mm-hmm. So we have to trust Him with His timing. But He also says, you have not because you ask not. Seek and you will find. Ask for me, and I will respond.
Yeah.
And so we're going to continue asking, and we're asking as a church. And part of that is because I want God to show up in a way that's not, well, here's what we did. Humanly speaking, we strategically raised funds this certain way. No, I want God to show up.
Yeah.
We go, look what God did.
You want to see God do something that we can't explain.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
So
In the lives of people and in the church and everything else like that. So, and then the other one was ministry leaders, raising up people in the church.
And not just people to serve week in, week out, but people who will own the ministry. They have a heart for the ministry, and they say, hey, the church was never meant to just continue hiring people to do jobs. We were meant to equip people to do ministry. Yeah. And so we want to people who feel called to lead ministries in the church. They feel called to the marketplace during the week, but on the weekend they have a ministry that they lead. And we want to equip people to do just that.
I love it. I love it. So, anything else from yesterday?
I think it's just one of these things is that as we get ready for the series coming up, I really think it's going to be a very impactful series. We had a lot of people who picked up booklets yesterday. I can't wait to see even more do that. But coming up September 21st, Perspective Shift, we're going to be walking through Philippians together. And really, once again, the goal is to help everyone in their faith journey take a step. Yeah. Like let's lean in, be devoted to one another. Be devoted to Scripture. Be devoted to prayer, and watch God move. Because I truly believe, like the bottom line yesterday, is that life choices often happen in a crowd, but life change happens
in community. Yep. So I love it. I think that this is going to give us a chance to see God do some crazy cool stuff.
Yes, sir.